Hi, welcome back. Today in session 2, we're going to talk about two concepts. One is the idea of prospect awareness, and the other one is the difference between a direct lead and an indirect lead. This is going to help us decide which of the 6 lead types that we're going to cover we should use at certain times or with certain audiences and certain products. So what does it mean when we say prospect awareness? It means very much what it sounds like, that you're trying to figure out what it is that your prospect is aware of. What do they know when you go to them? So what is it that they desire, but also how much awareness do they have of those desires, of their own desires? Because we all know somebody who doesn't quite know what it is that they want, they just know that they want something. Or how much awareness do they have of the problems that they have that they need to solve, or the solutions that are out there. We're going to talk about all of that. And also, how much do they know about you offering a product? So what is it that you're offering that they are aware of? That's going to change the way that you talk to them. And also, what is it that they're aware about the rest of the market and the other things that your product is compared to? So in other words, how unique is the solution that you're offering compared to all the other things that are out there, so that you can stand out with your message? So just as an example, talking about these desires where people think they want one thing, but that there's something else to the thing that they desire that is a deeper feeling, a deeper emotion or want or need. You might say, look at a diet and fitness product. So what is it that people want when they want a diet and fitness product? Do they want the logical conclusion that they are going to have a certain amount of health, a certain cholesterol level, and those kinds of things, certain target BMI for their weight or for their size? Not usually. Usually what people want when they look at something like that is they want to be slim and attractive. So in other words, they want other people to look at them and respect them for their fitness level. And they also want to be able to respect themselves. That's a deeper desire. So they want to be able to look at themselves and feel like they are the person that they want to be. Or how about when we talk about a business opportunity product? What is it that somebody wants to launch a business? They may have the deep desire, may be to see a dream realized that they've had for a long time, something that they believe in very much, to bring it out there. They may also want not just necessarily the money of having the business opportunity product or business realized, but also to have the respect of people see them as a success. And for in many ways, having that kind of business success, the money can almost be like the score, keeping ahead. So that is also digging at respect, driving for respect. Or how about with a financial newsletter? When you go out and you recommend stocks to somebody, they may very much want to invest in a certain idea. They may see that there is money involved and measure it that way, but they also might want to have a certain sense of security, which is a slightly more abstract idea, but something that can be more richly emotional. They want to know that they're protected for, say, their retirement years, or that their loved ones are going to be protected. So you being aware of that lets you speak to them in a different way than you would if it was just sort of the mechanical idea about investing in the right stocks or the right markets. Or say somebody who is selling the idea of roses. People find roses beautiful, but why do we give roses to somebody that we love? Or why do we give flowers to somebody who has just celebrated something great or had something difficult happen, like a sickness or a death in the family? And we give the flowers not just because they're beautiful, but because we want something to happen in that relationship with that person. We want to enrich that relationship and make that person feel cared for. Or going on a family trip somewhere and you're going on a vacation, certainly the person who plans it wants it to be a great trip, but they also want people to look at them as somebody who planned a great trip. There is a certain amount of respect that they're going to derive from that. You'll notice that a lot of this stuff directs towards how people feel, how people have other people feel about them. So there's an interaction with them. So this desire to have the respect of other people around you, to be loved by other people around you, is a very driving emotional force that can run through all of this stuff. But as you get towards those kinds of concepts, you also realize that they're more abstract. There are a little bit more difficult to get a handle on, and that's where a difference can between just decent copy and great copy can be found, because somebody is able to target those emotions in a quick and effective way. So let's look at what would be a very aware type of prospect. Somebody who, for instance, would be very aware of the thing that they want, very aware maybe even of the feelings that they want to have about something and how they associate with those feelings and attach them to a product or a service or the thing that you do. And very aware of you as the person who sells it. So you see here, these are people sitting around outside of an Apple store. Now, how many times have we seen that in the last decade, where people wait for the new product to come out and they actually camp out overnight and sit in front of these stores? Apple is not saying come and camp out at these stores. They're not handing out bottles of water to get people to come and camp out at the stores. The people are just so passionate about the brand that Apple almost needs to do nothing except say, we've got a new thing coming out, and people show up. That's a very aware customer. A very unaware customer might be somebody who is looking at a brand new service for the first time, and this may be even a service that they're not sure quite what it does and why they would need it, like if they have a problem to be solved. So this is a website, it's a beta product that's being launched where people can post conversations, and other people can log in and listen in on those conversations. Some people might instinctively know, oh, okay, I could use that for an educational product. We could use that for having a conversation for things like this, for instance. But other people are going to look at it and say, I'm not sure what I could do with that yet. So you would need to approach them in a different way. So the way that I like to think about it is something like when you go to a cocktail party and you walk in, and there's some people that you know very well and maybe some people that you don't know very well. You're going to walk up to the people that you know very well, and you're going to start talking to them in one way where you may be more direct. You get right to the point of something that you know. You pick up a conversation that you may have had before, and you continue that conversation as your relationship with that person dictates. You know what they're interested in, they know what you're interested in, they know what you're about, so you would never go up to that person and reintroduce yourself, look for a way to warm them up to talk to you. It would be instead a very direct approach that you would do. Another person that you don't know, if you walked up to them and began a conversation right in the middle that you've never had before, they would think that you were strange. So you need to approach them in a way that is less direct, or as we say, indirect. You need to introduce the idea, introduce yourself, introduce a reason for them to be interested. So it changes your approach. When you talk about a product, it's very much the same way. That audience that you're writing to, they may know very well who you are, just as that people go out and buy those Apple products do, or they may be meeting you for the first time. They may be becoming aware of their desire for the first time, or that there's a solution for the first time, or that there's a problem to solve for the first time, and you change that approach. So that helps you begin to decide whether or not you should use one lead versus another. And as we'll see in other sessions, different leads are more direct or less direct. And that understanding that awareness level of the customer is going to help you choose which one of those leads you're going to use. So when you make that choice between a direct lead or an indirect lead, one of the things you're going to find is that the direct leads, they tend to be quicker and shorter, and that they are okay with introducing the product much earlier. So in other words, they can get to the point much more quickly. An indirect lead needs to take a little bit more time, and it needs to do some other things before it gets to mentioning that product. So you're going to see that that's going to come along a little bit later in the sales pitch. So if you imagine that this is a sales letter laid out front to back, this is roughly near the headline, close to the headline is probably where you're going to mention the product. And if you imagine this is an indirect sales lead and the letter that follows, you're probably not going to get to what that product is until much later in the sales letter. This way, you avoid turning off the prospect by coming on too strong in a situation where you need an indirect lead, or wasting a lot of the prospect's time when you could get away with using a direct lead. And the way you decide whether you're going to use the direct lead versus the indirect lead is based on this level of awareness. So let's just look at some examples of where being more direct might be more valuable than being indirect. So one time that you might be using a more direct lead is when you have a product that's very easy to understand. So here we have this big book of free. So there's not a lot of ambiguity there about what it is that somebody's going to get. And this big book of free is a free giveaway. So they have a very strong offer and something that's very easy to understand. And in this book, we know that we're going to find out how to get things that are free. And the lead goes on to talk about 127 ways to get everything you want and need for free for pennies on the dollar. There's not a lot of nuance that you have to do about that. And this goes out to people who have shown an interest in finding out how to get free stuff and do things like that. It's not a very difficult sell. Or you have something that is a large, easily accepted promise, and you're sure that you can put it out there. There's an easy product to sell. There's an audience that would be readily interested in it. If you feel secure about that, then that audience is aware of the thing that they're going to get. And here we have over 50, save up to 15% more on your auto insurance. Well, just about everybody has a car. Just about everybody who has a car has auto insurance, presumably, hopefully. So it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to make that pitch to people. You don't need a lot of nuance to do that. Or if you have an exceptionally good deal or guarantee to offer. This one here, use my passwords to access all our best investment ideas for just $9 a month. Now this promotion, and it goes on to explain what that offer is. So right up front, it's going to name what is happening, and it's going to name the things that people get. And this mailed out to people who were already had an ongoing relationship with the person who was providing this product as a publisher, a financial publisher. Or maybe it's something like where a customer knows you, trusts you, and deals with you often. This is why there's a value in establishing that ongoing relationship with a customer relationship like Apple has with their products. People will pretty much figure that everything that's going to come out of Apple has a certain quality level, has a certain look, and it has a certain aesthetic and also just a certain culture that's around it that appeals to this audience that goes to them over and over again. So it becomes very easy to become much more direct. Or here's a perfect example. This is another Apple thing that they put out a new phone and it's an eagerly awaited improvement. So once you have that relationship developed, one of the great benefits of developing that relationship is that selling to that crowd, if you constantly deliver what you promise, becomes easier and easier as you go along because the relationship is good. It's just like those interpersonal relationships that you would have in, say, that cocktail party setting or any other kind of setting where you have friendships or romantic relationships. As long as you keep delivering on that relationship becomes easier and easier to move forward. Indirect might be more valuable to you when you haven't earned that trust yet. So you might need a way to convince people that you're worth listening to or what you're about to say is interesting enough for them to give you some time. So here's an example, how Obama made $9.2 billion with executive dividends. We don't know what that really is a reference to, and it's a bit mysterious. And in this promotion, it goes on to talk about that for a long time before it ever mentions the product. Or you might have a situation where people have a lot of high ad fatigue. That just means that they have a lot of different advertisements coming at them from all different angles, or they have a lot of ads that are coming out and the ads are the same message or a similar message and there's nothing really unique that's standing out. You need to find a way to make it fresh, to make it new and interesting. Or you might be addressing people that aren't aware that somebody has figured out how to solve a big problem, that they know they have the problem, but they didn't realize that anybody has come up with this solution. And you need to start talking to them about the solution and convince them that there is a solution before you start mentioning that your product is the one that delivers it. Or a situation where they are so unaware that they don't even know that they have a problem or there's a problem out there or some kind of imminent threat or crisis that they're not prepared for and that they need to be prepared for. So you need to be able to put that into plain focus for them and to give them details on what that is so that they really understand the importance of it. And that takes quite a bit more finesse. So what would you see in the mail that you have and the promotions that come to you as a prospect, are they direct or indirect? Go and look at your inbox, look at your mail, and ask yourself how they take that approach and where they come from. So are they coming from people that you know well? This is somebody that you do business with all the time. How do they sell to you? Versus somebody who comes to you as a new prospect. And if there's somebody that is writing to you, are they writing to you about a problem or a solution that you knew exist or that you didn't know existed? So see if you can differentiate that in the things that you receive. In session 3, now that we've covered this idea of awareness and directness and indirectness, and that's going to help you figure out how to choose which of the leads that we're going to cover to use. We're going to start with the most direct kind of lead, and that's what we call an offer lead. I'll show you how this works and how to set it up and how to make it successful. So thank you, and I'll see you in session 3.